With relevant cash flows, since we're paying attention to incremental, that's the name of the game, when we take into account relevant operating cash flow, we want relevant net income. And so there's three things we want to take into account: sunk costs, allocated costs, and side effects. And so first we'll talk about sunk costs. And so what is a sunk cost? A sunk cost is a cost, it's associated with a project, but the key thing is you have to pay it whether the project's pursued or not. It does not matter whether you do the project or not. So, for an example, suppose a company is looking into a project that's going to involve some legal matters, and they have entered into a contract with a law firm where they've agreed to pay the law firm $20,000 a year for the next 3 years. Well, if they do the project, they got to pay that fee. If they don't do that project, they have to do that fee. So when you do with minus without, it's the fee minus the fee is zero. So you do not include sunk costs in the income statement for a project. And again, it doesn't matter that the costs are going to be paid in the future, right in the heart of the project. It doesn't matter that they're associated. What matters is if we do this project, how would cost be changed? And if the cost is sunk, if it's the same with or without, if it's already been agreed to, then you have to ignore it because incremental is zero. Couple of language: if a deal was made yesterday, a deal was just signed, assume that those terms of that deal are established and they're not going to get changed. So any kind of similar language that suggests a deal has been agreed to. And again, don't read between the lines. Don't assume that there's terms if they're not. If it says that a company must pay $50,000 to another party, it doesn't specify whether it's project's pursued or not, assume they got to pay it no matter what. So suppose Patriot Theaters, their flagship theater, the one in Fairfax, they're thinking about redesigning it, and they hired Bulldog Designs yesterday to develop a new interior design. The terms of the contract require a payment of $10,000 in a year. The contract says, Bulldog, you guys are developing a new interior design. In 1 year, we'll pay you $10,000. Then when we do an income statement for the project, the amount of costs from this situation that would get incorporated would be zero. Zero would be incorporated. Why is that? It's a sunk cost. If they do the project, they pay $10,000. If they don't do the project, they still pay $10,000. With minus without, $10,000 minus $10,000 is zero. Sunk cost, zero. Let's look at this one. This is a partially sunk cost. Term of the contract require payment of $10,000 in a year if the theater is not redesigned, or $15,000 in a year if the theater is redesigned. So it's 10 if they don't do it, 15 if they do it. So when we're putting together our income statement, what costs associated with this would get incorporated into our analysis? $5,000. Why? With minus without, $5,000. The decision to pursue the new interior design adds $5,000 in costs. One way to think about this is regardless of whether they pursue it or not, they have to pay $10,000. But if they decide to pursue it, it's another 5, which is why we get how we get the 15. And if they decide not to, there's nothing extra. So the decision to pursue the project adds an extra $5,000 in costs.